Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Music Lab podcast. My name is Dogg, and I'm so excited to be back with all of you for another episode of the podcast. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, our social media pages. That helps us, and that helps the bands like Five Spot. Also, check out our sponsor, RAR Outfitters. That's RAWR. Outfitters.com. Don't just wear RAR. So, ladies and gentlemen, Five Spot, how are we all doing on this Friday night?
Wonderful.
Good, man. Good, good.
Oh,
Thanks for having us.
Rachel and Lucas are representing the solos of the group, and then we have the boys representing the trio. So let's talk. Let's go right into it. I want to talk about the Baltimore scene. Like, you guys are from Baltimore, Maryland. Everybody is homegrown, or anybody transplants?
The transplant, Lucas is.
Yeah, I'm a transplant. I'm a very, very proud, small town Midwesterner. But I came here in like 2021, and I met Jimmy at Cat's Eye, which is one of the reasons. We'll probably talk a little bit about it later, but it's one of the reasons that's so important to me, and I think to us. But yeah, these guys all sort of like took me under their wing, and they're sort of my family at my home away from home.
So, are you a seafood guy then, or not a seafood guy?
No. I mean, catfish, like fried catfish. But that's about as far as I go. We had in Ocean City, wasn't it like a couple of years ago that we had like I had
Crabs.
my first crab. These freaks from Maryland had like a bucket of it, and they just poured it out on the table, a bunch of crabs, and it was awesome. It was great.
It is quite barbaric to see people eat and pick crab.
Yeah.
It just sucks that it's become such a delicacy when, like, our parents and our grandparents, you get like a bushel for $10, and now it's 600. It's crazy.
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah.
So you touched on the Cat's Eye Pub. That's a great way to start. That kind of it was the defining moment for your band. Is that fair to say?
It definitely helped give us a platform to play on. And to kind of how that even started was I was in a three-piece band. We kind of started right around the pandemic, even. It was two other guys, Bryce and Dale. And it was a three-piece jam band, and we were playing anywhere that would take us. We were, early in the scene. COVID made it extra difficult to kind of get out, but we still, made it happen, had some gigs, and I ended up meeting Morgan at the Cat's Eye. And I was like, hey, I'm in this band and we would love to play here. And he was like, do you have any recordings? And I was like, no, we don't have anything. And I was like, I swear we don't suck. And he trusted me, booked us for a Thursday, and it was good enough. He had us come back, and then it turned into like a monthly thing with that band. Big Ben was also he had the name of that band, and then Lucas ended up reaching out to us. He had moved here from Illinois, and he was just looking to play. Reached out, and we said, meet us at the Cat's Eye. And we were playing a gig actively, and we, had a few songs hashed out, like a Herbie Hancock tune, Chameleon, a couple others. So he came prepared with a couple tunes, and we just played like the whole show. I think he sat in with us for a couple tunes. We hadn't even met before. Sat in, and it was awesome. And I think he played like literally that whole show with us, not having ever played with us before. And then he was a staple in that band, and it turned into a four piece. But Lucas was on the saxophone, which is his first instrument, right, Lucas?
Yeah.
Yeah. So either way, long story kind of short, Bryce and Dale moved away. Dale's in Chicago, Bryce is in Denver. Lucas and I were like, hey, let's keep playing. And meanwhile, there's other stuff kind of going on. I'm playing with Ben over here, kind of just jamming. And then so Lucas and I kind of joined up a little more officially with Ben and Matt, and we started jamming a lot more together with the four of us. Either way, Morgan was like, "Hey, that Thursday slot's like still open," and he's like, "I'd love you guys to keep filling it." And that gave Ben, Matt, Lucas, and I a chance to start playing there a little more regularly. And this is kind of going on a wild tangent because then Rachel joined in at another like a slightly later time, but either way. I'll leave it at that for now. But Morgan gave us the chance to play there early, and Five Spot got to perpetuate that and continue it on, and that gave us a platform. Yeah.
So, but as
Yeah, and
oh, so as a
well,
four
so
piece though,
go ahead.
you were called Five Spot. So I want to hear what was Five Spot, and then go ahead, then Lucas, what you were going to say.
Well, so originally we were five spot because that guy Dale played bass with us and I played saxophone,
That's
and
right.
we were kind of six spot for a second because correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Rachel came around. Um, what year would that have been? Like 2022-ish in that winter.
Yeah.
Coming over to Ben's house, and actually, it's kind of a funny. I like the way that you say that you just like showed up at Ben's house. How did that go?
Yeah, that was I started sitting in with Big Ben when I would come home from college. And yeah, and when Five Spot was doing these bar gigs, I would come and sing a couple songs, and then Dale moved away and Lucas had a bass, but and that's how it all happened. But when Five Spot was in its very young infancy, I had known Jimmy from sitting in with Big Ben through mutual friends like Bryce. And Jimmy said, "Hey, we're putting together a small thing for a bar gig. Send me a couple songs. We'd love to have you come sing. We'll learn the songs and we're going to rehearse them at my buddy's Ben's house at this day, at this time. Come over and we'll play some music." And I said, "Yeah, I'd love to." And so the day comes around and I roll up and I drive there, and I'm sitting outside in my car, and I text Jimmy and I said, "Hey, I'm here. When are you getting here?" And I'm sitting there for a couple more minutes and I'm like, "Oh, this sucks. I'm just going to go inside. Like, Jimmy will be here any minute." And I knock on the door, and, some like tall, handsome man, I couldn't remember which, of Ben or his brothers it was, answers the door, and they're like, "Who are you?" And I'm like, "Hey, I'm Jimmy's friend." And they go, "Who?" They all call him James. And I go, I'm here to play music." And they're like, "Okay, like, come on in." And so I like walk in and someone's cooking dinner, and people are hanging out. And on the far wall, I see a big twiddle poster, and I'm like, "Yes, sweet, like, I'm gonna be okay." And I think about an hour later, Jimmy showed up.
Yeah. It was one of
Yeah.
those things. Rachel and I played together, kind of here and there with Big Ben, and she was sitting in, and we stayed in touch through that because I met you at that festival, Floating World Festival. It was like a local thing that our buddy put on, and I saw Rachel there playing a ukulele and doing a solo set. And that was the first time I saw you, I think. And then we started doing some sit-ins with Big Ben, and then she was sitting in with Five Spot, a couple songs here and there. Ben and I were also doing duo gigs for like a little bit. It was just Ben and I, just drums and acoustic guitar or electric too. Either way, then we had Rachel sitting in with us. A couple songs turned into a whole set, turned into the whole show. And then at one point we were like, I think you're like just in the band. And it was always a better show when she was there. Everyone always loved her energy and what she brought to the table. And it was a decision that almost made itself, and everyone was in agreement. We're like, I think you're just in. Yeah. And then here we are. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember one day James was like, "So I guess Rachel's in the band." I was like, "I guess so."
Ask her.
Once she started, it didn't stop. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So,
perfect.
Rachel, did you do that with any other local bands where you would just like come like to the shows and sing?
No, not really. I mean, when I got back from college and, I was in school in Florida and I came home, I didn't know anyone. I didn't know anyone in the scene except for, Jimmy and Bryce. And I guess I had met Lucas, and I had our mutual friends. But, for a really long time, these guys were like my only friends, and it was great. We would have band practice every week. And so, no, I didn't really know anyone else. But we became really close because we didn't know any of these other local bands.
Mhm.
And, but I remember I went to Ramble Festival, that first inaugural Ramble Festival, and I sort of got keyed into other little pockets of this world. And that's when I was like, hey guys, maybe we should start, we go on hikes and all this stuff and we have family dinners before practice. Maybe we should start like going to shows and like, like we like to say, maybe like kissing hands and shaking babies and, like having a good time and being like, hey, we're in the band, like what's up? So but no, we it for a long time it was just kind of our little family, and it's grown so substantially.
So if it wouldn't have been a twiddle poster and maybe like an insane clown posse poster, would that might have changed your mind? Or
I mean, I think I still would have, the twiddle poster was like, yeah, the twiddle poster was like, oh, cool, I've got like 20 minutes of talking material. The insane clown posse might have been like, I got like 5 minutes of talking material, but then I looked around and it's like there's some Grateful Dead art, and there's like a fish show photo, and so it all was like, oh, these people are awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's it like playing at Cat's Eye Pub, like specifically there?
Awesome.
Loud. It's so loud. It's so loud. But it's sort of like it's almost like a fever dream in the best way, right? Where you have, because we play, for me, it's a kind of long set, a 3 or 4 hour, show is kind of long for me. But, you get up there, you take a couple breaks, you pretty much like feel every emotion possible. You feel like frustration, you feel like absolute elation. You get really down on yourself. You have like this whole arc, and then at the end of it, you're just spent. But what the sort of thing that I like to say is like that place is kind of like church. It's just like it's such a staple in the community. I'm there from an outsider. I'm sure the other Baltimore people have more of like an understanding and appreciation for the history, but like sort of like coming from an outsider, it's just like like of course it's Cat's Eye. It just seems like it shouldn't be any other way. I don't know if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
It's the best dive bar on earth, I think. And
yeah.
And it's a special place, and just like getting to play there early on was like it was almost like a dream come true. It's like holy shit, I get to play at the Cat's Eye. It's like, I mean, it doesn't matter what day of the week it is. Whoever's on that stage is a certified killer. It's like anyone who plays there is just the creme de la creme of just people that play music. I mean, blues, old cats who've been doing it forever. And then young blood, like, I mean, Five Spot, and there's a lot of other bands that we've been playing with, like Kunkel and Slightly Deranged, Seven Teller, Dirty, getting in the, so it's shifted, and I don't know when the shift happened, but I mean, I'd like to think Five Spot was part of that, but it was really the whole community. But all these young blood types started to get in the mix at a blues lounge kind of thing. That Cat's Eye kind of, I feel like it was a bluesy kind of rock bar, I think is what it was just, for a while. And now it's gotten into, just, it's gotten a lot more eclectic, and it doesn't, Cat's Eye doesn't sell food. Like they don't have a kitchen. They have that grandfathered in liquor license. So it's booze and music. Like that's it, So anyone who's there is there for a show, and they're there to listen and drink and party and have fun. And it's always community. It's not just playing at a bar. It's a show, and it's love, and I'm grateful for it. And it's the oldest bar, I think, in Fells, like the oldest that hasn't changed like ownership hands. It's been there for so long, and yeah, it's like playing there so often now. It's like it's easy to almost lose track of how special it is sometimes because we're there so often. It's like it feels just like another day, but it is a special place, and there's a lot of history. Like those walls could talk, man.
It's totally aided to where we are now too, and just the progression of the music and the community and just it's been amazing.
Cat's Eye is great because you just go there for music. You don't have to. It doesn't matter what night, like you said. You just roll there. It's music. Music's happening.
Good music. Yeah.
And well, of course, yeah. I mean, nothing less, but yeah.
And it could be folk, it could be blues, it could be jam. It could be anything.
They try to keep it 365 there. I think
so. Yeah.
In fact, they might shut down music for Thanksgiving and
yeah.
Christmas Day, maybe. I don't know what
Maybe,
Morgan
yeah.
says.
And
You
like
know,
I thought they did
he's got it. He's
365.
got the the rule there.
and
That's
like
which is awesome.
and it's one of those places you can't walk in there and not run into someone who you would hug. You know, like it's not just someone, it's like it's always someone that you care about. Like you can't go in there and not hug like five people. It's just it's always a good community. Yeah, it's awesome.
Hmm.
Yeah, I've only been there twice. I saw Lowercase Blues there because I've known those guys for years, and then Uncle Kunkel. I saw them like last April, I think, or 2 Aprils ago. And wouldn't
Hmm.
you know it, on the way down on 83, because I'm in Pennsylvania, right? I didn't realize that they do now like the camera speeding, like once you get down closer to like the city.
Yeah, 183.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah,
Oh
so
yeah,
those sons of bitches got me on the way down and on the way back.
both
Oh,
ways.
Same
that's
spot,
fun, man.
Oh yeah.
almost the same,
I can
like,
understand.
speed.
I can
That's a
understand
kunkel tax.
down there.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Starting
Yeah.
to sound like you might have been speeding a little much.
Yeah, I was speeding. I mean, it was like
All right,
60
yeah,
going to
okay.
50. I mean, it wasn't
All right.
like, but it wasn't like I was going 80, like,
All
yeah,
right.
You're going
crazy.
70. Yeah.
So let's talk about another kind of iconic venue in Baltimore, the 8 by 10. And I want to kind of go around the room and for each of you, what that venue means to play there as well as to like be a fan and to see a show there. Rachel, go ahead, you start. Ladies first.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Um, Man, the 8 by 10 it's awesome. It's such an amazing place to play. It's an amazing place to go. And I think part of it being such a special place to play, especially with these guys, like, oh my God, is that, where that's where we went to hang out, to have a good time. Specifically, like, oh man, I can remember these awesome nights, like running around there with Jimmy and Ben and Lucas and just like these shows in general where we've all gotten to really spend time together and enjoy music together has solidified it. And so when we had that first opportunity to play the 8 by 10, I remember Jimmy, we're sitting at a rehearsal one night and he's going, Fish has played here. Dave Matthews has played here. So and so. And now we're going to be on that stage.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh my gosh. And we're going to play Shakedown Street. We're like, oh my gosh. So,
Yeah.
So it's awesome. It's like, and yeah, and it's fostered a lot of community for us. And we love Abigail and Brian so much. And, they keep taking chances on us and yeah, and it's awesome. It's always kind of scary to play, but it's like awesome.
How about you, Lucas?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I love it because I'm the only one of us that lives in bed too, so I can walk to the gigs at 8 by 10. It's great. I am kind of like Cat's Eye. It's one of those places that you can just go and pretty much all the time, just like see an incredible band. And when you play the stage there, you like Rachel was saying, you share it with some incredible musicians like throughout history, and it's awesome. I also love like 8 by 10, like they have that line that's like um they've got like the 8 by 10 commandments or whatever it is. So like they have like the we are a church gimmick, and like the place is kind of funny, and I like you go in there and Brian is kind of like a gruff but very experienced sound guy, and it just seems like a really good place. I go in there and I'm like I'm excited to play here, and it's really cool. And it's cool, we were talking about it earlier a little bit, but like having it in the same city as Cat's Eye is awesome because you go to Cat's Eye, you have a drink, and you listen to the music, but you can talk to a bunch of people there. At 8 by 10, it's not like no one's like a jerk or anything, but there is kind of the vibe of like shut up and like listen to this incredible music, and the sound is always like really good, and the lights are fun. There's just like a sort of chance there to sort of elevate the performance from like a typical like really long like a bar performance, right? And it's like in this neighborhood. It's like literally right over there. It's awesome.
Absolutely, yeah. I would say because look, it was our first time playing the 8x10. We were like super early, and it was almost even how Five Spot the name came. I mean, I'll kind of just touch on that because it kind of fits in this story, but Morgan was booking us to keep playing those Thursdays, and we had shifted from Big Ben to officially, Five Spot took that slot, but we didn't have a name for a while. Like we just didn't have one that fit, or it just we were waiting for it to kind of happen, and everyone was tossing some shit out there, and we were just waiting for something to happen or lock in, and it was all of us were really passive about it. And then at one point, Morgan was like, "I need to start writing like a name down on like the calendar and stuff," like because people are starting to come see us, and so like it's kind of an executive decision. I was like, just call us Five Spot for now. There's five of us. I think we talked about it maybe briefly, but I was like, just it sounded good at the time. And I was like, put that down. And then we got the 8x10 offer from a couple of my friends and a band Lies from Granny, which is like pop punk kind of band. So like majorly different kind of vibe from like the music we typically play in some ways, but they were friends of ours and they were like, "Hey, we have a headlining gig at the 8x10." And the drummer of that band, Colin, I was friends with him, and Anna, his sister, the singer. Either way, I knew them from the past. And he was like, "I'd love to have you and your band come open up." And we just kind of got the Five Spot was like just kind of getting started, and then we had to lock something in there, and I was like, of course we'll take it. And I don't even know if we had an Instagram or we just like maybe launched our Insta. Like this is how early we were. We got an 8x10 gig, barely had a name, and like didn't even have social media yet. And it was kind of like holy shit. So it forced us to like start vamping some of that up and take that piece of it. Like all right, like let's really lock this in. Like we are a band and let's start doing this.
Right.
And then that first gig there was our debut at the 8x10, launching our name, and then it kind of just like we were like, I think we're Five Spot now because like if we change it now, that's kind of wild. So it was almost an accidental origin story, but that first gig, Tom Curran opened up a solo artist. He did an acoustic set.
Okay.
And then we were middle slot, and then Lies from Granny closed it down. But our first show was sold out. It was a sold out show there at the 8x10. And that was our first experience playing there, sold out show. I don't think any of us had played there before. Ben, maybe you played
Yeah, I
there.
played there back in the day. Yeah.
Ben had played there in a band he was in back in the day, Coastal Vibrations. But either way,
Shout
just
out.
first debut, sold out show. Like, I mean, like I was literally nervous as hell backstage. I was like, holy shit, like it's like the big leagues. And we had an awesome set, crushed, met Brian and Abigail, and it was my first taste of being part of that history there. And it was a super special, impactful moment. And all of us have played there a handful of times since, in Five Spot and other acts. And it never stops being special. I think every time I'm like in the green room, there's just that excitement that doesn't go away. And it's a special place. Brian and Abigail are almost like mom and dad to so many of us musicians. It's like you always want to make Brian proud, and Abigail's a sweetheart. She always looks out for us. It's just anyway, I'll stop rambling, but it's a special place. Yeah.
Yeah, 8x10, man. I'm sounding old here, but I've been going for like 20 years to the 8x10. Uh, I think the first band I saw there was Medeski Martin and Wood, which is, you know,
Oh, geez.
weird to see them.
Really?
No, you walk,
I didn't know
back
that.
at it,
That's awesome.
I didn't think that was odd at the time, but now I'm thinking back at it like, whoa. And by then they were well popular, in their space, well established. But yeah, place is incredible. Like James is just saying, you get up in the green room ready to go down to the stage, and you got the butterflies, man. So, yeah, Brian and Abigail are incredible. They're super gracious to have us there. It's awesome. Yeah, I don't know. That's all I got.
Oh man, what do you got, Ben?
That's all I got, man.
Yeah, 8x10's home, man. Always big appreciation for Brian and Abigail. They're they've taught us so much and just embraced us and have lifted us up and pushed us to where we are at this point in time, just like everybody else has. And yeah, that place is so rad. I like Matt said, I've been going there for 20 years, and just the
We're
sound's
old, man.
amazing.
We're old folk
Yeah, the
now, man.
history's
20
great.
years, Jesus.
It's interesting, like everything that's changed in that area, that place has stayed true to like the roots of music and just really being about the people, and it goes like everybody in that building that works there are just so amazing. The bartenders, the door guy, sound guys, lighting, whatever it may be. So it's really special. Whenever we go there now, it's just so amazing because it's literally like walking into your front door of your house. You know what I mean? And you have when you
Yeah.
walk in, you have 50 brothers and 50 sisters and 10 mom and dads. You know what I mean? So it's a really special place, and just there's so much love in that place. It's really just just filled us up so much with everything that we have now, I think.
So, what is the capacity there, Ben? And then, what's the green room like?
I think the capacities,
300?
I think 300's a capacity, but I think they try to hold it at like 250 or something, just because I think capacity might be a little tight.
Which I feel like Abigail, which I might be wrong. I feel like she said it was 350, but then
Okay.
but COVID hit and they reduced it to try to just keep everything chill. And I think they dropped it to 300. But then with like the band and plus ones and the guest list and staff, it's hard to say, but I would say anywhere from 300 to even closer to 400 when you consider staff and everybody some nights.
Let's just say 300 for the fire marshal.
But yeah,
Yeah.
fire marshals
It's
was
about 300, and we like to get about 70% of that up in the green room when we're there too. We like to bring pretty much as many as will fit.
That's what it is. It's a
Yeah.
revolving door.
I'm just kidding, Abigail. I'm kidding.
After the show.
Yeah.
After the show.
Yeah, wait till the music's over, then come up.
Ben said something a second ago that was awesome. It's like we learn so much when we go there. Like I remember one time, I don't really play on stages like that much, right? And you get up there and trying to learn how to, like, it's the biggest bass amp I've ever played on, and I'm like trying to learn how to figure it out. And Brian pulls us aside afterwards, right? And he says, like, you should, it's my job to make you guys loud. Put your instruments down like you're like a normal person, and then I will make you louder. And there are just like so many like kind of very simple nuggets of wisdom that are dropped there. And like talk about like a supportive place in the scene for kind of bands like Uncle Kunkel and Stephen Teller, who are going on tours and like really getting out of Baltimore and doing it. Like the 8x10, I think everybody in that circle would agree is a really good stomping grounds and like an educational sort of experience where you learn something, but it's also got the comforts of home, I guess.
Well, it is great that, like you said, I mean, you guys have two iconic venues that you can go to pretty much 7 nights a week in a city where, from the national kind of view, doesn't always get like the best of, opinions.
right. Yeah.
It's bypassed heavily.
Yeah, I mean, speak about that individually, because I personally love Baltimore. Like, I've never had an issue in Baltimore. I love everything about Baltimore, but from the national kind of scene, like, Baltimore sometimes gets a bad rap. Like, kind of defend the city, each one of you.
There was a point in time where people
Love that.
I don't know what year it was, but I felt like there was bands that were just absent on any bookings in Baltimore. I don't know what year it was. What would you like?
Yeah.
Like around like 2008 or 2010? I don't know. I'm maybe a little after that. There's Iggy chiming in with a little wisdom.
It's definitely bypassed.
But yeah, it gets bypassed. So what do we have? We have the the arena, or what do you call it? I don't know what
The CFG
bank
Bank.
it's named after.
CFG, yeah.
I
You have
mean,
that. You got soundstage, but
the
Wrecker.
soundstage
but
is like
that's
what?
kind of it though, isn't it?
The
Yeah.
soundstage
Well, the
is like
Rams head was
1,200.
huge. We used to go to Rams head live.
I think
Rams
Weather should count.
1,200.
That's just my 2 cents. Okay,
Kind
okay.
of, but you
You
know, you
guys are
got Pier
missing the
6, but
best venue. You're missing the best venue in Baltimore.
Pier 6.
Emerald
Pier
Star.
6, of course.
Oh, Pier
Yeah,
6.
well,
Yeah.
Mickey
I love
was
Pier
calling
Right, but
it
I mean, like
The B2
rooms, you know,
Pavilion.
Yeah.
music halls, rooms.
No,
There's
Pier 6
not.
is the best in Baltimore.
It sure is, but
besides 8x10.
it sure is. But
Best
yeah,
outdoor.
yeah. In indoor venues, there's not. I don't feel there's a lot of them, and especially there's nothing like the 8x10.
No.
I mean, gosh.
I mean, the 8x10's got that 300 cap, and then the Wrecker is like, what, 750, 800-ish. Also, the Wrecker is great production there, too.
Yeah.
But not to go on a tangent, but like great sound there, awesome staff. But yeah, the Wrecker, then Ram's Head, Soundstage. So there are those tiers, 300, 700. Then you got Ram's Head and Soundstage are like 1,000, 1,500-ish. Which I guess Ram's Head's closing up, but I don't know if they'll keep it a venue or not. But and then you have Pier 6, getting bigger. Then we have the arena, CFG Bank. So we have the tiers, but I don't know. Like maybe it's missing like some link there, but it does feel like we get bypassed.
I don't go to. I mean,
And
a
that's
lot
it.
of bands go through other cities with a lot more venues. DC,
Yeah, a lot of people
DC
go
and
to
Philly
DC and
gets.
Philly, yeah.
DC, Philly, skip Baltimore, go up to New York, maybe.
I just don't know if I'm biased. Is that's
Baltimore's
what I'm-
got such
yeah.
a great community. I mean,
It
like,
does.
whenever
Mhm.
I feel like I get out to a good bit of shows, and whenever I go out, I see so many of the same faces. You know what I mean? It's all the community
Always.
that we hang in Baltimore that come to our shows, and that what we see when we go to the other musicians' shows, and it's so like it's got such a great community for music. I mean, people show up, dude. I mean,
Yeah.
I remember Seven Teller was doing like a Sunday residency at the 8x10. They might have been doing it every 2 weeks or something like
It's
that.
every other week for like 4 or something. Yeah.
Yeah, and which is a really hard slot to pull people out, especially on a Sunday, a ticketed show on a Sunday, and to be playing every other week, you know what I mean? And I think I made it out to two of them, and he had different musicians coming and playing for each one of the shows. But at the two that I was at, there was a great turnout, you know what I mean? And they were at different periods during the run. Like one might have been like midway through, and one might have been like second to last or something like that. So there was kind of like a good point of perspective to see where it was along the lines of things. But people show up, dude. It's really
Yeah.
it's amazing to see, and it constantly uh like surprises me. I don't know why, but I'm like, holy shit, like this.
People show up, dude.
Yeah, it's crazy, man.
It's
cool.
wild. People really show up, man. And it sounds cliche to be like, like the show only happens because people are there to see it. It sounds cliche. It's like, it's all about the crowd. But like, really though, it's like, dude, I mean, there's so many people that show up so frequently just to listen to whoever play. It's such an honor to be able to play to people that want to come and support it. And Baltimore has an awesome scene of people that show up. It is overwhelming and surprising. It's like it shouldn't be surprising, but you're like, damn, dude, like look at all these people that fucking are out here, And it's a great scene, and any bands that do pass through, I mean, are lucky to experience it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you said surprise, so that's a good segue because before we started recording, when we were talking about stuff we were going to talk about, you guys said about the Baltimore Magazine 2024 Band of the Year that was a little bit of a so explain that and talk about that honor.
Matt?
Matt?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think
Matt?
we won that. It was just crazy, but we certainly didn't. I don't think. Does anyone know who submitted us?
Yeah, it was.
We have suspicions that it was Morgan early on, but
okay.
we don't know if that's true. I don't know if he ever
He would have told us by now.
he ever.
I mean, I saw someone
Took
posted
credit
a
for it.
screenshot, of them voting for us or something happened, and they posted on like their Instagram story it was something like that. Literally, is how I even saw we were even on. I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, I was like, people are voting for 5 spot on. I was like, Baltimore Magazine. I was like, I'm pretty sure no one knows who nominated us to start with, but somebody nominated us, and Baltimore Magazine took it seriously enough to put us on the actual bill. And then we, blasted it as much as we could to be like, vote for us. And next thing you know, we hit it. Yeah, it was a surprise, and it was really cool. Yeah, that happened. Yeah.
And you're all now subscribers to Baltimore Magazine, right?
Oh yeah,
Of course.
yeah.
I remember
I brushed my
we
teeth
were
with it.
playing Cat's Eye one night, and this was like a couple weeks after they had announced like the winner, and we were like trying to find the results because after we found out that we were nominated, we were spreading the word and trying to get people to vote for us, and a lot of there's a huge community and support group for us, and which is helped us so much along the way, and we love them for all that. But I remember we were playing at Cat's Eye and we got done playing, and one of the guys that works there is Maurice, and he's such an amazing individual. He's a salt of the earth, and he's got such a beautiful voice too. Actually, but it's a hidden talent he keeps from all of us. But he's like, yeah, he's like, you guys won Baltimore Magazine. I was like, really? Or best band or whatever. And I was like, really? He's like, yeah. I was like, we tried to
that's how
find
you
the
found
results, but we couldn't find it. They were trying to make us to buy the magazine to
You got to
find the
get
results
print,
or something.
Yeah.
And then I went up
You had
to
to
Morgan.
subscribe to see if you won. Yeah.
Like 5 minutes later, I went up to Morgan. I was like, yeah. I was like, Maurice just told me that we won the Baltimore best band in Baltimore or something. And he's like, Maurice doesn't know what he's talking about. And then however
was right,
much
though.
later, Iggy's girlfriend like subscribed and like I don't know if she paid for a subscription in order, but got the results and found out that it was true or something. So it was kind of funny. But
So
yeah.
when did they reach out to you to let you know then?
Never.
Which I don't know if they ever even reached out to us
they did.
officially. Yeah, I don't know how that typically works, so I can't even speak to what the process is, but yeah, I don't know if we got an email or anything. So but either way, we found out, of course, but yeah, I don't know about the outreach there. Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds like a psyop. I don't know what
Yeah.
happened. Like
I was waiting for my gold plaque to come in the mail, but
yeah.
actually Iggy ended up hand burning us our own here.
Yeah. You got one of those?
There's one on the table next to the bass amp.
There's one somewhere, yeah.
It's not up here.
Which is another thing. Iggy is Ben's brother. Ben, our lead singer and a guitar player. His brother, Brendan.
We'll get him on
Curry.
camera here to see. He's going to get the wood burn piece.
But either way, I'll just clear this up now for anyone who's listening. His middle name's Ignatius, so everyone calls him Iggy. So, but his name's Brendan. But either way, Ben's brother Brendan, he is our road dog. For one, he's just family off the rip. He's our brother. For two, he always shows up, helps us with moving gear around, helping with, anything with behind the scenes shit. And he has single-handedly transformed his basement here downstairs, which is like our practice space. We have drums set up, mics, and then another section of it now is a full-blown it's a full-blown like shop. He has a screen printer for making t-shirts and graphic designs. He's got a laser engraver that engraves leather with any design he wants. He has a sewing machine to sew it on. He's hand dyeing the t-shirts. Anyway,
Does he have a cricket?
I do.
he does. Also, he's right here. I'm gonna get him on screen here.
How are you doing, brother?
This is Dogg.
This is also one of the plaques that I made for him. Not the golden plaque he was talking about, but
That's good.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say show him a couple of the merches because also 5 Spot hats. So Matt Deegan over here, he showed up to practice one night with a brimless hat, like no brim. So it looks like a beanie.
Wait, you got
but
one?
it's a
yeah, right in that box.
but it's
Here,
a,
we'll show him
it's a strap bag. So here, I'll show you one here.
From the back first.
Yeah, well, hold on, this is the trick.
You gotta try it on.
Actually, we're gonna have him put one on for you.
This is the part of the show where we plug our merch.
Yeah.
It's a
This is very
classic band.
So right, you got the it
He's
just
wearing
looks
the
like a
backwards
backwards
hat.
hat, and then
It looks like a hat, right? Backwards hat.
no brim,
No brim.
deleted.
So then so what happened was we were all like, dude, that's a wild hat with no brim, but still a strap back. Either way, we bought a bunch of them and we started branding them with 5 spot stuff via Iggy. And a bunch of people started buying the brimless hats, and it's almost turned into like a 5 spot thing now. It's like people are wearing them, and there's a bunch of brimless hats out there now.
Yeah,
That
it's
it was kind of like
thing.
it was an accidental thing. Matt showed up with one, and we were like, all right, let's start making some. And either way, Iggy's been just throwing down with merch and all that good stuff.
And we got one
There's
for
at least
you.
100 some out there in the mix right
Yeah,
now.
let someone out. We'll get the address here.
Yeah, we'll ship you a little care package.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
appreciate
dog.
that.
Yeah, give us your sizes there, and we'll send you a couple things. Yeah.
I appreciate that, boys.
Mhm. So long as you hang them on the wall back there.
Hell yeah.
right.
Absolutely. I got room.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yeah. Hell yeah.
So,
But
so Iggy, what is the best thing about helping out the band, or like of the things and all the things that you do, what is the best thing or most that you enjoy, I guess?
I guess it would probably be just seeing all the magic happen from the outs, a little bit of an outsider's perspective, seeing them grow as a band and get these bigger stages and bigger venues and gain the popularity in the community and things like that. It's been really fun and awesome, magical to see. And then also just meeting all the local music scene friends and family, if you will, through making the merch and selling the merch and going to all these shows and stuff like that.
Also,
Yeah, like Iggy, you did some stuff for Kunkel and for Seven Teller, right? And
Yeah.
so I remember like going out and like looking at, actually I think Callista, my girlfriend, has my shirt, but like I'll go out and see some shirts of people's at shows, and I'm like, hey, that's an Iggy, or like the cards or whatever that
It's an
you
Iggy
were making
original.
for Seven Teller. It's so cool, and like I don't know, I sort of see the scene as a sort of like super ultra productive. Everybody wants to help each other. We're all here for like everybody else's benefit. And I don't know, maybe you can talk about it more, but like I think like the making the merch stuff, and when I come, talk to you about it, it seems like something that you really enjoy doing. So I sort of feel like we're all just like enabling each other to like sort of find each other's thing, a little bit, right?
Yeah, it's been really fun. I'm trying to make new different things and different designs and stuff you don't necessarily see everybody has. So, the brimless hats is a prime example of that, making an image or a brand, if you will, and trying to just keep putting a quality product out.
So what's your favorite song that they do?
Oh,
ooh, that's a good question. I don't know if
probably Go right now.
Go is good.
Go is great.
Probably Go.
The latest single, of course.
Latest, yes.
Exactly.
Recorded live in Patterson Park, by the way.
At Tellerfest, yeah.
At Tellerfest, that is.
Yeah.
Let's hear the story behind that song. I want to hear the story.
I'm gonna try to scoot this back a little bit.
Yeah.
And the story behind the recording and the single and how that came to be, Ben?
I think that was like the first song that it was something I was messing with around at the house for a while. I'll play it for a couple months and then decided to take it down. And no, I think that was the first song that both Rachel and I both collaborated on together, which was like a really beautiful thing, which is actually it's just coming to mind now when I think about it. But for that, like at Tellerfest itself, that recording of that song really came out like very good, and I think in all of our eyes, I think it came out very nicely and exceptional compared to the others throughout the rest of the set. And it wasn't even a song that we had been playing at that point in time too much, but I think that was the first one that Rachel and I had both like kind of written together, and is something that we've been doing a lot more lately, and it's really been very special. But that song, yeah, it's just I don't know, it's just kind of just came and everybody captured the most beautiful essence of it. And I think that when it comes to like songwriting, I think that that's the most beautiful thing about playing with all of us is that, you know, what I could hear could never even compare to what they come up with. What they come up with is always beyond whatever I could imagine. You know what I mean? And each individual's interpretation of the song is what makes the collaboration of the music's so special, you know what I mean? And the trust in it. It's like, well, what are you hearing? It's like you're the pro, what you do. I'm not gonna tell you what to do, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So but no, yeah, that song it's nice. Very beautiful.
And what that single recording came out at Tellerfest, so it was a live show. Yeah. Sam put that on. Great. I mean, great day there. Just crushed it. It was at Patterson Park, right by the big pagoda there, outdoors, and it was getting colder then, but then we had like a 80. It was like 80 degrees that day. Like we're all
No, it
ready.
was so hot.
For 5
It
days.
was so hot that day.
80.
Yeah,
It was shit.
and
It was
It rained
90
for 5
It must have been
days.
95.
Well, I remember like
And
it
then
had
it
been
stopped
cold,
for
and
8 hours while the festival was, and
it was
then
like an
rained
oddly
again that
hot
night.
day though, right? Because it was in
It was
September.
so hot that day.
But either way, outdoors too, and then obviously everything's mic'd up, which we had Dave Martin, and I'm not sure if he had someone else with him, but shout out Dave Martin, great sound technician, sound engineer, works with Better Off Dead. He's their sound guy consistently, and he does a lot of
And
stuff
the
in the
local
scene.
archivist.
Yeah, which he was also at Ramble Festival at the Barn Stage. That was Dave Martin, and a couple other guys were also working with him too. Jake
And he
Funk.
engineered and mixed Go,
That dude
But,
the
ate
version on Spotify.
So
all him.
Yeah, so he was our sound engineer live
Yeah.
that day, and then we also asked him if he would mix and master it for us officially with all the post processing stuff. So he did that for us, and it was just like one of those takes of the song because live, it's like. It's easy to be good, but it's hard to be perfect. Live. I mean, perfect enough to want to drop it as an actual single. But "Go" came out, and all of our eyes is like nailed. It sounded. It almost sounded like it was in a studio. The way the audio came out, it was like really mixed well and captured well. And yeah, it's one of those songs that as soon as Ben brought it down in the basement, it just kind of wrote itself. I feel like, and Rachel wrote an awesome verse and part that's super monumental in that song, and it really just it's a super collaborative 5 spot tune that I mean I'm biased, but I remember hearing Ben play it and I was like, that's like a radio hit, man. Like that's what I thought looking like hearing it myself. I was like, dude, this is like a hit, it's special to be part of that process when I'm writing it with, a band and we're all adding our own flavor on it and I'm like, it's a hit, it's a cool moment. Yeah.
So Ben, this is kind of a two-part question for you. So is it typically then you bring a song to the band and then they kind of go with it? And then the second part of that question is, are you more of a lyrics first and then music, or are you more of a music first and then lyrics?
So I think we go about it. Rachel and I will come up with a very core structure of something, a core progression and a melodic line, vocally usually, and then we'll bring it to the basement, open to interpretation and what it's to become. You know what I mean? And it's always I definitely feel like I was saying before, it always turns out whatever I think it, whatever I hear here goes a good thing. Specifically with James on the drums, the way that he kind of swings the drums, it almost was so. It was so what I wasn't expecting that it was threw me off to an extent, at first, but it's so much, like I said, it's so much better than it could ever be. But yeah, so I think Rachel and I we both are writing songs constantly, and
More than we can keep up with.
yeah. And it's fun.
Right?
I like Rach,
Yeah.
I have she's such a inspiration for me, and I feel like her and I have such a like a good back and forth with writing songs and kind of just hearing each other and kind of like maybe have the same feeling about what we hear in the music potentially when we hear each other play each other's, different songs and stuff like that. And then I'd say for me personally, and then Rachel, maybe if you could elaborate on yourself. For me personally, I'll come up with like a chord progression and I'll just fool around with it for a little bit, and then then the vocals will come after that, and I actually won't even don't even really mess with the lyrics for a long time, not intentionally, just maybe lackadaisically. Uh, and I'll kind of just I'll always have the melodic line for the vocals, and just as long as I'm spitting out words, and it can pass whatever test it need be, but eventually settle on some lyrics. But I'll write the chord progression and then the vocal melodic line and kind of freestyle for the first handful of months or 100 times I
Years.
play it. Yeah, yeah, some songs right now even. But yeah, Rachel.
Yeah, I mean, truthfully, there's, when it comes to songwriting, there's a dozen ways to skin a cat of how it happens, but um, it always lends itself to whatever the song ends up being. Sometimes, for example, our song Fun Guy, our the initial progression of that song with the F major to the G sharp major to the G crazy stuff, that was the instrumental melody, while the sort of when it kicks off, those were the lyrics. And so yeah, things come together in different forms and shapes. Sometimes I have a whole shebang already written and everyone adds, like Ben was saying, their like awesome flavor where I'm like, this is totally expanding the song's like deeper consciousness and deeper meaning because of how these guys, understand the song and understand music and how to play their instrument and how to, make it sound good and leave space. And it blows my mind that like, that it starts out as this acorn and grows into an oak tree. It's so stellar. And I think that what's awesome is Ben has really challenged me as a songwriter, because so many times when I sit down to write a song, I'm sitting by candlelight and I have like a quill and I'm thinking of, about metaphor. But there are so many times we're in the basement and, Ben's playing his progression and he goes, all right, start singing something. And I like roll my eyes at him. And that's like how Go happened, is I just spit something out one day and Ben was like, that's the verse and you're keeping it. And I was like, oh shit. And so I'm like, I can write something better. And he's like, you are keeping it. You're not allowed to change it, in his very nice way. But I think that when it comes down to it, there are 1,000 ways for it to happen. And it all happens super organically and serendipitously and in a super beautiful, unexpected way.
So when did you first learn that you might have a voice that can sing? Because you have quite a set of pipes on you.
Oh, thank you. I asked my mom that, and she said I popped out singing. And as a kid, I was always singing in my room, making up songs, and my brother and our bedrooms were down a hallway, and their doors were like this. My brother would come out of his room, and I'd be in my room, and he would open my room, and he would open my door, and he would go, "Stop singing!" He would open my door and walk away, and I would be like, "No, I don't." And so I was always kind of doing it, and I was in theater for a long time, and I was always singing, and I studied a lot of poetry, and I got really into words, but I never stopped. Yeah, I never really stopped. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's get to the scene, because again we kind of have touched on some bands, but like overall, for people who don't know about the scene in Baltimore right now, like you guys, you have some contemporaries as well that are really kind of making some noise. Uncle Kunkel's, Natalie Brooke, Whiskey Feathers, Chris Jacobs, Ballyhoo. I mean, even Kelly Bell, if we're going back, 10, 15 years. Like, talk about like what those bands have meant to you guys currently and in the past. Each one of you. Go ahead.
And I can kind of start because I'm from Salisbury, Maryland, so I'm an Eastern Shore boy. So I wasn't super hip to the local music scene until I moved here and started to get more of a taste of it. Which I moved here like officially in 2019. I moved in with my girlfriend at the time, now my wife, but I moved here in 2019. And I wasn't even really in a band. I was playing, playing as I always did, kind of by myself. And, I had been in bands in the past, but either way, I wasn't even really looking to be in one. I ended up in Big Ben, I just met a couple guys, started playing, and then I started to like, because like once you're in it, you start to get a beat on the scene. You're like, okay, this is kind of how things move. Here's the venues you play, here's the bands that exist. And from what everyone's told me, because COVID hit right around then, so it's like post-COVID Baltimore music. I think just objectively is different than probably pre-COVID, and bands may have folded up, new bands emerged. The scene's always ever flowing as it is, but so I wasn't really OG even to the Baltimore music scene, so kind of like a new set of eyes on it, even in the last 5 years or so was my experience. And yeah, it's the talent that's out there is insane. I mean, it's like everyone rips, like it's truly anyone who's playing at these stages, 8x10s, it's like the talent is there. I mean, local, everyone's kind of sick. So it's cool to be a part of that as like, it just makes it's everyone cares a lot that the output is quality, and it just reinforces that's exactly what I want to do. It's always put good quality output out there. But yeah, Uncle Kunkel was one of our like first kind of like homies on the scene, I would say early on. We got linked up with those guys one way or another, played some one-off gigs, we sit in with each other like crazy. Cat's Eyes always sit in central. Everybody, the homies roll up, people play, we all swap around. And Sam and Seven Teller, he was one of the first dudes I met actually out here. Sam would sit in with Big Ben occasionally, and got to meet him, and I played with him a little bit. But it's been open arms like in the music scene. Like as me being not from here in a random band, no one really knows who I am, and the bands I'm playing in are young, early on, and it just felt like we were welcomed by everyone with open arms, and people started showing up and supporting us, and people are digging it, and we're obviously having a blast. And it was just wild reciprocation of like we're loving what we're doing, and then the support from Abigail and Brian type people and all the other bands and all the community of fans and music lovers is the scene is awesome. Yeah. So I'll pass it on, but yeah, I have a lot to say about it.
Go ahead, Matt. What you got?
I feel like there's like we're part of like a class, right? Like a graduating class like that, right? Like there's all the groups we mentioned, Chris Jacobs has been around, he's in a different class, right? But, there's a certain class of bands and, folks that we play with that, you know, I feel like it's really snowballing into something nice, it's things are, things seem to be moving at a high velocity nowadays, with everyone, including us. So, that's, yeah,
Ben, what do you think?
fantastic.
Yeah, man. There's so much good music in Baltimore right now with local bands. I feel like we were kind of young to the scene at some point in time. And I remember Rachel's birthday one year. We had reached out to a handful of people in a bunch of different bands, and I think that one night for her birthday, I think like 17 different people from different bands in the local scene had sat in, and I remember somebody coming up. It was either
It was insane.
it was
Yeah.
one of the guys from Uncle Kunkel or Seven Tell. I forget who it was, but they're like rising tides lift all ships. You know what I mean? And the like express gratitude and appreciation that's reciprocated from one another, from band member to fan coming out and support and friends. It's just I I I could have never imagined like falling into this band with these such like perfect individuals in my eyes, you know what I mean? And then
And Matt.
and then what that's propelled us to, and how much like enrichment it's brought into my life community wise, you know what I mean? There's so many amazing bands. Seven Teller, Uncle Kunkel, Natalie Brooke, Dirty, uh
ELM.
ELM,
Pigeons playing ping pong.
Mark Datter, yeah, Pigeons. It's and everybody's just like at every one of these shows you look out and you see a member from every local band in the room, you know what I mean? And like I feel like there's no ego involved, which is like this.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a rare thing or if it's a common thing or if it's everywhere you go, but I'm lucky to be involved with it and surely embracing everything that comes, you know.
Yeah, I would say the only other scene that I can speak on that I know enough about that is similar to your guys' scene in Baltimore is down in Athens, Georgia. Like they've got a scene down there. Like
Oh yeah.
there is some great bands that are coming out of Athens, Georgia. I don't know what they're doing down there, but Lucas, what do you got?
Yeah, I mean, I would, agree with what everybody said. And the other thing is like, I don't know, I'm not Jocko, but in my opinion, there are some players up in Baltimore. I mean, like everybody in my band, will shock me 2 times a rehearsal. Talk about, an incredible vocal performance. Verse 2 on Go, the recording that we have. Rachel, come on. Like that, I mean, I know I've talked about it, in person, but that is just like pristine. But like what I'm trying to say is like the people in these bands, you're like Natalie Brooks. I guess maybe I shouldn't like name specific individuals, but like uh, all these lead performers and like background performers. There's some like really really good bass players in Baltimore that are like awesome. I'll go to their shows and I'm like, holy crap, man! Like you're kind of like I think about it with the 8x10. You're like you're from the city that I live in. You live just up the street. It's crazy. It's like such a privilege to like be in the same sort of social circle as some of these folks who are such hard workers and like um play they play in a way they play in a way that makes me like laugh out loud. I'll see like Luke go up and like rip a solo and I'll be like, that's hilarious, he's incredible. It's really cool.
And Rachel, how about you?
Oh man, I can't echo enough what they all said. It's awesome. It's, the talent and the lack of ego and the support is really amazing. And I mean, yeah, some musicians I personally look up to in the scene. Number one is Natalie Brooke. It's so inspiring to see like a powerful female lead just like ripping on the keys and yeah, to see all the hard work that she puts in and Sam Cochran and Seven Teller to that, that man does not sleep if it means, finishing his project or just like going towards his passion and what he wants to do. It's so inspiring. And across all genres, there's someone that I will hear and my first thought, like Lucas, laugh out loud, jaw on the floor. And that makes me work harder because I'm like, oh shit, I gotta go home and like pick up my instrument or like think about this. And it's amazing and everyone's supportive and kind, and I'm just gonna keep echoing what everyone else said, but it's awesome. And I gotta say, I also love when you can tell the dynamic on stage that people are having fun and they know each other and they love playing with each other and they've played with each other for a long time. A great band that does that is Moody Moose. And I love a Moody Moose show. They're sweet. I had to mention them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There are these dudes here. Their names are John Brady and Nate Shulkin.
Oh.
And they are just the funniest two dudes to see. They play in so many different bands together. And we know them like personally, but like you talk to them, they're kind of funny. They kind of like they're around each other a lot, so they sort of like get at each other. But they get behind their instruments, and they're so freaking good. It's such like a magical experience to be able to see these different sides of people, I guess.
And they're called Mitty Mouse?
Oh, Moody Moose.
Oh, Moody Moose.
They're not in Moody Moose.
John and Nate aren't in Moody Moose, but Moody Moose is a great band. Yeah, best band name I think in Baltimore too. I have to say,
might be Moody Moose. Yeah,
yeah,
might be. It's got a 5 spot though.
Yeah.
And quick shout
Absolutely
out,
not.
also real quick, I want to shout out Noah Pierre Band is another
Oh,
band,
dude.
Yeah,
local.
dude.
Those, it's like, I mean, what they're putting out, and like I've met Noah. It's not even that I'm close with those dudes personally. It's just like seeing a local show like that, and I'm like blown
Yeah,
away by the just what they're doing. You know, Jordan Stanley's their drummer. I mean, might be one
yeah,
of the best
dude.
drummers. I mean, one of the best in the city. You know, it's just like right there, local. It's these like it's just local music is so. It's like the talent's there. It's like it's there. You
Yeah.
know, it's like
I,
people.
I've been to
Yeah,
I've been to like Noah's shows and just been like like as totally like a fan. Like I've
yeah,
listened to his album like a trillion times, and
yeah,
I just like to go see the crazy thing happen in person where
yeah,
Jordan, that's his name, right? The drummer.
yeah. Jordan Stanley.
Yeah, he's so nuts, right? Like it's so cool.
Yeah,
Uh,
they're just too much talent, man. Everyone rips.
yeah,
Everyone. Yeah,
yeah.
it's
Well, let's talk about something else that was cool, at least for me, and I think it was for you guys. The Ramble Festival last year. You guys got to play it Sunday afternoon. I got to cover it. I got to camp for 3 nights, which I'd rather not do again.
Unless it's in a camper, right?
I'm not a tent camper, man. That's for the birds.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We
But
pulled.
talk about, I want to hear like your experience about like that festival. Because for me, it was like, it exceeded my expectations by like tenfold. Like it was like the best. Like, so I want to hear like your guys' take on it as well.
Yeah, it's funny. I did like Mondegreen like couple weeks prior. Fish is definitely my favorite band. And going to Ramble, Iggy and I had trucked up to Ramble last year, and it was such an amazing experience then. And we kind of said Rachel had been going at that point in time for 2 years, and she'd been doing like the busking thing. And I'm sure you should get her to elaborate on that because that's really interesting too. But uh,
Mhm.
she when we were all gathered around before this past ramble, we're like at the very beginning after the last ramble, we're like, yeah, we're gonna rambles on our books for next year. Just kept it in like a positive mind state for manifestation. And but back to the monogreen thing, like that was a very special thing. And then I went to ramble, and it was like almost hard for me to say how much like how like it was just so fulfilling and like almost better in a way.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean? Like not trying to compare anything like that, but like that it was so meaningful. And that barn stage is such an awesome spot to play to. And the
Mhm.
time I think we played at like 2 or 3 or something like that. And
2 p.m.
prime
Saturday.
time, the room was filled out, and I felt like it was one of the most crowd intensive shows that we had played. You know what I mean? Like people were very engaged the whole time as I looked out, and
Mhm.
it was really really pleasant. You know what I mean? Just all around that whole festival's Brick and Jay are absolutely amazing. They straight up work magic. Some may call them wizards. Not really quite sure. But, everything they've done for us has been to support us and help us along our way too. And big thanks to them and such a huge appreciation for them. They're amazing. But yeah, Ramble's the shit, dude. Any and everyone should go always.
Absolutely, which I'll add really quick because I just want to say, and like Rachel's experience busking there, meeting Jay, and she was kind of embedded in the origin of Ramble, and I felt like that helped kind of cross. It was a crossover story almost of Rachel May, the individual artist, and then kind of bringing Five Spot, just in the light, even with Jay and Brick, just being friends with all those guys, and then also Jay and Brick are like embedded in the scene kind of all around. Like they're always out, and Brick is also like Natalie's manager, or at least he was. But either way, it's like they're out, they're in the mix, they're working with artists, they're putting on this festival, and the like level of intention that they put into the festival. I mean, it was my first time attending this past year and playing, and I couldn't believe like just how well it was put on, and just the professionalism, but also like it captured just community and vibes, and it's hard to put into words like how like impressed I was with it, like truly. And we got to meet Jay earlier on before we even got on the bill even, and he popped out to some shows. He put together Toast and Jam. That was a day festival at Falling Branch Brewery, and like Uncle Kunkel played, Natalie Brooke played, and Five Spot and Experience Boys too. Which got to shout out Experience Boys. We love those guys. Essex Boys, but they play everywhere. But those dudes shred. But either way, we got to meet Jay, and it was almost a pipe dream. It was like part of like the 1 or 5 year plan. Like we gotta get on Ramble, and it kind of happened organically, and a Jay being a homie and a businessman, and he reached out and was like, we'd love to have you guys be a part of it, because a big part of their mission is music, community support, local, and obviously bigger acts come in, and it was just awesome to get that call, yeah, and be a part of it, yeah.
Lucas, what do you got?
I mean, yeah, it was a perfect weekend. I mean, like that's I think is like as simply as I can put it. The weather was, I mean, it was like down to like the weather was perfect. It was just like a comically a comic, and I wasn't in a tent, but it was like a comically beautiful, perfect experience and weekend.
Rachel, go ahead. I want to hear the
Yeah.
busking story now, since we've
Oh
gotten the
my
intro.
God.
Yeah.
Wow. No, this is like Ramble Festival is so near and dear to my heart and to like my origins of playing music in Baltimore. I graduated from college in 2022, and I met this girl at a Dogs in a Pile show who needed someone to go to Ramble Festival with, and I was like, yeah, whatever. Like, I have no plans forever. I'm 22. And I went on the website. I was 22 at the time. I went on the website and I saw the Buzzking thing, and I applied and I got in, and I thought, yeah, I'll go to this I'll go to this music festival and play music and just see what it's all about. I think it'll be really cool. And it ended up changing my life. It completely cracked my skull and my brain wide open and put all of this positivity and opportunity and just like life and vision and creativity, maybe I said that already, into my brain, and it like zipped it up and was like, there you go. And that was happening at the same time that my brain was cracking open, and like Five Spot was in its infancy. And so I was just like, I was getting all this greatness from all angles, and Ramble Festival was the first place I ever like jammed with someone on like my guitar, and they were like, there's like a guy on the banjo and my friend Danielle on the flute and someone on a upright bass, and they're like, oh, like, how does your song go? And I'm like, well, it goes from A to D to E, and they're all sort of playing along and they're letting me sing songs, and then that started happening with Five Spot. And yeah, the busking thing seriously changed my life. And I went to these guys and I was like, you have to come to Ramble Festival. And they were like, okay, whatever. And then the next year happened. And, again, I like took them like by the shoulders and was like, you have to come to Ramble Festival. And Ben and Iggy answered the call. And, Ben and I had one of these moments where we're like, we're going to be playing there next year. And when it happened, it was amazing. It was like all of this greatness came to a head and like exploded, because I was here at the crossroads, merging together of like my musical origin story, and getting to do it with these guys who have become my best friends and my family, and for my brothers and people that I admire so much, not only as musicians but as with them, was so amazing. And not only with them, but with their family and their friends and my family and my friends and our community in that barn, in the barn. The barn was sweet. And looking out on the crowd and like just being like, shit, this is awesome. So what it's all about. I was freaking out, and yeah, it was awesome. I like filled with so much joy thinking about it. And yeah.
Well,
And
now
I think,
Rachel, now don't you've taken upon to, aren't you heading up some busking things at a few different festivals?
Yeah, I also got to do that this past summer as well at Flow Jam and Carnival of the Arts. I got to help run like their busking programs and see if this is their Ramble sponsored busking programs and see if that was something that might fit into those festivals and help Brick's vision of that on a greater scale come together.
yeah, for me, like the word community, I think does really, really epitomize like that festival. And to me also like, and I'm glad some of you mentioned it, but the real superstar in the festival is the campground itself. Like
Oh
it
my
just
God.
has this like it just has this kind of like mystical vibe to it. When you walk into the cabins, when you walk into like, where the dinner was served, where like the bands could hang out, like that whole area was just, I don't know, there was just something about like, and then just walking around and like, Friday night I met Wyatt from Uncle Kunkel,
Oh yeah.
his mom,
My
and
God.
It's awesome.
she is a lovely lady, and around 9:30 at night, she gave me some Scooby snacks. And so my first night, like, I'm having a blast. I think was it Le Special? Was it who was the late night on Friday night?
I think it was a special,
Yeah,
yeah.
they
Oh
headlined.
my God. Like
In the barn.
in the barn,
There's
Oh my God, yeah. Oh my God, that was so sick. Sorry,
they
go ahead.
slayed it. Yeah, like they slayed it. And on Scooby Snacks, it was really, really fun.
Yeah, I don't think I slept for 3 days at that festival.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Ben, what you were talking about like earlier of like going to Monogreen and then going to Ramble. So I mean, Ben, you know me pretty well, but like Monogreen, whatever that campground population is for 1.5 million people camp out there, or
Hey,
something.
it was probably
Not my scene.
30, 40,000.
I'm being facetious, right? But
Yeah,
like
and
not my thing at all. But like Ramble, on the other hand, it's like, why wouldn't you just like do Ramble? It seems like the obvious choice of
It's
just like a
close.
super. It's homie fest, kind of like we were saying about Tellerfest. It's homie fest.
Yeah.
I think that's actually probably the trajectory that a lot of festivals probably want to be in, that kind of range. You know what I mean? There's definitely
Right.
some sort of bubble you burst once you pass whatever 1,500, 2,500 or something like that. But
Yeah.
because like, yeah, Ramble's like, it's literally like home. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I don't know. Maybe it's just my naive opinion, but like Monogreen probably doesn't have that like mystical campground feel, that you're talking about. It's going to be hard to find Wyatt's mom, at Monogreen.
Well, I don't know.
I found
She
Wyatt.
It
probably
was
wasn't
not that
that great.
hard to find.
Let's not tell Wyatt's dad about
I
this.
found Wyatt and his sister. Why was the last one at the camper at Montegreen and the first one there in the morning?
Actually, Wyatt's right over there.
Yeah.
Over.
Hi,
This is
Wyatt.
sponsored by Wyatt Graham. Yeah. He's also sponsored by Snickers and
We
Cheetos.
should have hired him for the mandolin riff and come in right
Yeah.
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 So, I want to talk about a quote that you guys have on your website. I think it's great, and I think it does. It kind of epitomizes what you guys are all about. If it sounds good, we're having fun and keeping it sexy, then it's got to be Five Spot. And I hear, Rachel, that was your inspiration?
Yeah, something like that. I mean,
Mhm.
I'm inspired by what we do. And I think that and this came kind of recently. It just kind of I think I said it at practice once and everyone giggled a little bit and I was like, cool, that's what it's all about. And yeah, that's I think if it's got to stay a little bit silly and and I've said this from the beginning, that, if we, everything that we do, playing Ramble, playing Tellerfest, Greasy Hands, this growth is just a byproduct of the fact that, like, I would spend, the rest of my years in Ben's basement every Thursday night, you know, making up songs with these guys. And then, like, Cat's Eye and this community, it's all just like gravy on top of this awesome thing that we get to do, which is, have fun, make it sound good, and keep it sexy. So, it's kind of fun.
So that is
to tie that all up too. Actually, when we get up on stage, we try to just bring a complete vibe if we can. You know what I mean? And even with the music, I feel like we're pretty here and there as far as crossing genres and not really trying to be locked down to anything, but whatever we can find to make appealing, if you will. And yeah, I don't know.
Rachel said something the other day that I thought was awesome. She was like, everything we do should be a little stupid, right? And I think that, like, I don't know, a lot of times if I'm like alone, like practicing or like trying to come up with songs in my basement, I get so into like representing the idea of a song in the most perfect way that I possibly can. And like, I think it's really easy to, especially, when there's like a bunch of people looking at you on a stage, you take it a little bit too serious, right? But like having the moment on stage where you flub or someone does something funny, like, can totally like just like bring it back. You look out, into the audience, and Wyatt is standing there with his parents, and they're all wearing the brimless hats. It's just like it brings it like it. I think if we're good at anything, we're good at like bringing a little bit of like playfulness and like some like family friendly sort of like fun to it. That's one thing that I've liked a lot about playing and becoming friends with, all of you guys.
Yeah, and like the first core principle is like it's got to sound good, and I feel like playing with these guys, it's like everyone takes that seriously in their own way. It's like it's like allowing the opportunity for space, not overplaying, sharing the song and writing it together, and everybody shines, and knowing when to take a back seat, and it's like it's to the point where it's like it's unspoken, like it's everyone just kind of knows where we fit, and like it's got to sound good, like that's what we want. Like doesn't matter what happens, whether I'm playing like a lot of fills and I'm ripping or I'm playing a pocket for a while. It's like just whatever sounds good, and that's like really important to everyone. And that's so fun to write songs like that. It's just making it sound good. And then you got to be silly, you got to have fun, and you got to keep it sexy. I mean, it's just, it speaks for itself, kind of. But yeah, no,
I think I hear influences of Morgan McCauley there in the sexy stanza of that quote.
Matt kept it sexiest.
Don't forget to tip the band.
Matt kept it sexiest at Ramble though with that.
The Ramble, that was our
that jacket.
That was the New Orleans garb. That was
betting on Horton.
That was New Orleans weekend, wasn't it? Or night, or was it? I don't know.
Trombone Shorty.
Yeah.
The weekend.
Yeah. Yes, Trombone Shorty. Remember that set? That was awesome. Oh my gosh.
Good Lord.
That dude's fucking.
And then the marching band that just constantly parades is incredible.
Second best. Yeah, Timmy was sat in with them, I thought, playing the.
Did you now? With who?
The Washboard with the Annapolis Brass Band.
Yeah, I did.
Naptown Brass Band.
The Naptown Brass Band.
Yeah, they're sick.
Hell yeah.
So I want to ask you guys individually as well. And Rachel, I want to start with you. So this kind of delicate balance between art and commodity, because obviously, you're not doing this for free, but at the same time, like you don't ever want to be influenced by money or by like, sales or whatever when you're writing songs. But is that difficult to kind of balance that?
No, not really. I think as a group and as people, we have a lot of security in who we are and a lot of confidence in the art that we are making because it comes from an honest and shared place. And so, we are thinking about growth. We do talk a lot about growth, and we talk about it in a realistic way. And we do have dreams, but I think that we are really grounded in what we are able to do presently. And a lot of that is like, showing up and making the songs and writing and communicating. But in terms of what we do and want to do and how we want to grow, we do think about that. But if we were, I don't think it would be realistic if, somehow a video or a song went absolutely viral, which, doesn't happen these days like it once did. If we were given the opportunity to go on tour tomorrow, like, I don't think that would happen. It's not feasible, like, we have jobs and lives, and, some of us have families and spouses. And so we have great dreams. We have incredible dreams, but we are super realistic but like motivated that, the greatest journey begins with a single step. And so I think that, like, everything that we do, one, we do together. We don't take a step in a direction without everyone being on board with it. And two, we understand the pacing of something like this, which is, we'll talk about, like, oh yeah, that's in the 5-year plan, or like, that's in the 2-year plan, like, what is our goal for this year? Our goal is to play in a new city at least once where we haven't played yet. Our goal last year was to play at a music festival. And realistically, we're on year 3 of 5 Spot. Our first 8x10 show, we didn't have an Instagram until right before. And so, while it can get frustrating to be like, why aren't we, touring up and down the East Coast? We are still so early in this process that it's exciting what we're doing. And like I said, I would do it all the time. I'll do it every week for the rest of my life if I'm in town. So I think using that momentum is, like, awesome.
Yeah, and I would add to that too. It's like, I feel like as we've played since the beginning, like, it's never been about the money for us. It's always been about the music. Like, all of us, I mean, and when you're doing bar gigs, you're early, like, it can't be about the money because it's not that much, like, but like how we've grown and the overall I mean, just path we've been on. It's like, at first you're kind of like cold calling places, trying to get gigs, and then it gets to a point where it's like we're getting hit up now left and right by, which, like, not to like toot our own horn or anything, but just opportunities just start presenting themselves, and it's like this festival, this gig. And then like, your time is valuable, and we've put, thousands of hours into this by now, and so it's like the money comes with growth, and our growth's been organic, and we just treat it as such, kind of. It's like we're taking it as it comes. We have a manager now with Morgan, that was a new thing, and it's like it's turning into an organism, and it's like feeding itself, and it's just been growing, and it's really cool to watch it from within. It's like, whoa, it's like a lot's happened in 2 years. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
Matt, you want to take us with that?
Money. Money. Big money. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, what was the question? Commodity versus what?
First the art. Yeah. Like, I mean,
Art. Yeah. I mean, the music is first always, right? I mean, to some it's not, but yeah, to us it's, or to me at least, I think everyone shares the same feeling. Quality music, things follow with that, right?
Yeah.
That's how it is. That's it.
do you guys kind of feel like, in this age where everything is singles now and like EPs even, like, do you think the album is kind of a dead format? And is that something that you think about when you release music?
Well, we have to now, consumership, right? It's Spotify, Apple Music, whatever. I don't know, but the
I like the
content, I would like to. I think it would be fantastic to put out a long format album, but no one consumes music like that.
Yeah, well,
I mean, I
I
do. I consume albums
It's also a
personally,
time
but
of release too.
most folks don't consume albums, and they you go to an artist page on Spotify, maybe you just press the play button and it's the most popular songs,
Right.
independent of what album it is. So right now, I think it's singles and short format albums.
Yeah,
yeah, I would say
That's how I
that
see it.
in my opinion, there's a chance to almost like stand apart there in a really really cool way. Um, and something that I like a lot that like Matt and I have geeked out over a little bit is like the idea of like a live studio set. It's totally been done before, but like Parcels Volume One.
God damn.
They're in a studio and it's an
So
hour
much better than
and
that one.
right. It's like it's around an hour video. But it's like a live studio take, or like the stuff that Snarky Puppy does, right? Where they get 30 or 40 people wearing headphones like live in the studio. Um, it's I think we all want to get in the studio more and like try a bunch of like different experiences, but um at the end of the day, it's up to the people in the band of like what they want to do. I think right now there's like a time where we can look at so many things and be so inspired by so many different forms. I want to do a little bit of everything. I want to make a rockin' single. I want to make a great album. I'd make a 5-spot rock opera. If we had 3 weeks to put it together or something. I think that'd be sick.
We could wear
Um,
tights.
We should do that.
oh yeah.
Right.
I wear that tux you had on at Ramble, or the suit jacket. That thing was sick.
Yeah, that was that had an old Montgomery Ward tag on it.
There you go.
1991 was it? Yeah, Goodwill, Perry Hall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
shout out Montgomery Ward. I didn't think that was going to happen tonight. Jeez.
I meant to say Sears actually, but
Oh my God.
dilapidated, non-existent department stores. Woolworths.
Yeah, to elaborate on what they were saying, as 5-spot, at this point we probably have like a 30 original songs, and we'd like to put them all out as soon as possible if if that was something reasonable to do in time, you know what I mean, eventually. But yeah.
Yeah, it's like trying to get them out, and that takes studio time, that takes dedication to that process.
So we got to do it right. That's the thing.
And Five Spot is in the works. We have one EP like under construction. It's rolling, and we have scheduled studio time to do some more. So, if all goes well, we're gonna have a couple separate EPs to drop in the next 6 months to a year. We'll have, ideally 2 out, and right now we got 3 on Spotify. There's 1 or 2 more on YouTube, and then we'll have another 5, and then another 3 to 5 coming. So hopefully by the end of this year, we'll have, upwards of 12-ish songs out and give people something to hold on to, like if they see us at Ramble and it's like, who are these guys? And then they go to Spotify and then we have some stuff to be like, okay, this is who you are. So that's our goal right now, is to be like, this is who we are. Let's get some stuff out that people can click on and hopefully fall in love with it and add it to their playlist.
We're slow to the market here.
Yeah. It's another piece of the puzzle.
We got stuff. There's some projects building up
It's
here.
Baltimore Magazine's one step, and then studio time is, there's a lot of pieces here. We're figuring it out.
That's the only way to do it, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
for sure.
So then, what about what shows that we have on the horizon that we can speak about, or anything that you can announce?
I think just the next one that we have that we can announce. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
We can probably announce more, but yeah, that one. Yeah, Club 66.
March 22nd.
March 22nd, we're playing with Wolf Falcon.
Edgewood, Maryland.
In Edgewood, Maryland, Club 66. It's a BYOB kind of place. Tickets at the door.
Was it
and
25 bucks or something?
20
Cash,
25 bucks
cash
cash.
money.
So it's a cool spot. It's also history there.
That's a legendary club too.
It's out in
Club
the county,
66.
so all the city folk I had to come out to the county for this one. So it's gonna be cool getting out there. It's like slightly different demographic of people that might show up who aren't necessarily people that live in the city and friends who are out this way. And Wolf Falcon is a bunch of buddies of ours, which we actually recorded our first EP that we're working on. At Nate Hunley is in Wolf Falcon. He's the guitarist, singer, songwriter. Either way, he's a friend, and he helped us record some stuff. And his band Wolf Falcon is also unreal.
They just
Um,
opened up for us too at the 8x10 with
yeah,
Muskrat Flats.
and we just played with them at the 8x10 recently with Muskrat Flats from Philly.
Double header.
And now we're running it back with Wolf Falcon because like those dudes rip and they're having us kind of on one of their bills in Edgewood, and we're happy to play with them again. So
Yeah, super rad.
that's coming up in like 3 weeks kind of time. Yeah, soon.
Sweet. And anything else then after that then?
That's some other really exciting stuff that I don't know if we could talk about just yet, but
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah. I don't know how much we can announce at this
Oh yeah,
moment.
maybe not. Maybe
we
not.
kind of got just a handful of different things in the works and a handful of things solidified that'll be really cool events coming up in the year.
Toast and Jam.
Yeah, we can.
Toast and Jam coming up
That's
again,
all right.
Falling Branch. That's
Yeah.
scheduled
May 31st.
May 31st. It's Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so that's going to be actually an awesome run back there because the first one was a smashing hit. I mean,
Yeah,
so many people rolled up. Falling
It's
Branch,
free.
yeah, Falling Branch did well as a business, that's part of it. But so many people came and had a blast that it's going to be fun to run that back. Yeah.
Outdoor daytime gig.
I don't know if we're allowed to talk about that one yet.
Oh, we can't talk. Oh, it hasn't dropped.
Oh well.
Uh-oh.
Oh, shit.
But yeah,
Oh, my bad.
but there
It's
is
actually not happening, ladies and gentlemen. Don't worry.
Just play go over.
How long does it
us
take
talking.
to
Yeah.
It'll be like, please.
Well, let's talk about those Valentines because when I saw that, I was like, holy, okay, like, what are we doing here? So was this Rachel's idea or whose
Oh, yeah.
idea
Take
was
us
this?
away.
It's the sexy
Oh,
part
yeah.
of it.
Yeah, that was me. I think I had on the 13th, I logged into Instagram and I saw the Disco Biscuits did it. And I was like, that's genius. You know who else is hilarious? Us. And so I spent some time working on that. And yeah, it was so silly. It was so fun. It's fun to, I use Canva and it's fun to pick out all the pictures and think of something funny and do all the design stuff and then show all my roommates and let them giggle at it. And yeah, keeping it funny and sexy.
Keep it silly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a level of professionalism with that stuff, of course, but then a level of just silly stuff is always fun to just interject. And yeah, and Rachel's great with all the graphic design stuff. So a lot of our promos, posters, most of it's Rachel kind of creating that herself, and it definitely adds a special layer to everything too. Just having that skill set, yeah.
So with all of you guys working full-time jobs, we always talk about work-life balance, but like when you're a musician, you kind of have to add that third like component because it's work, life, and music. So how do you each, balance that? And has it been an adjustment from the beginning of the band to like currently?
I have a wife and a couple kids, so definitely a bit of an adjustment, but wouldn't have it any other way though. Yeah, man.
Yeah. All of us carve out
It's got to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, it's this or death.
It's like,
Music or die, bud.
Yeah, I mean, all of us are sickos. It's like we have to play, like we have to, and we want to.
Yeah,
and
it needs to happen.
I got to kick him out of the house after practice.
Yeah,
I won't leave.
It is tough sometimes. I mean, objectively, everyone has a busy life. It's like because all of us are in our own heads. It's like, man, I'm so busy all the time. It's like, but everyone feels that way. but we all carve that time out. We're here every Thursday is usually our practice nights, usually Thursdays, and then gigs peppered in. And it's rare for us to skip one, it's because we all want to. And I'm married and I got a kid on the way. So I'll have a new balance soon that I'll have to figure out with that going on. But I mean, my wife knows how important it is to me as an individual,
You got a good role model here.
and Matt with two kids and two kids, and he is able to do it all, is a great role model for me as a dad on the horizon here. So yeah, but I have faith I can do it because he's doing it actively right now. Yeah.
Yeah. That's also like brings back to like with gigs and stuff like that, and like kind of elaborate on what Rachel was saying, like the patience is, it's easy to like get ahead of yourself in your mind of expectations. And I think that's one thing that we haven't set any expectations, maybe just more, I don't know, aspirations or something, if you will, aspire to be at some place, but not to expect it. But like, it's almost like you want to go, go, go. And sometimes when things hold you back, you don't see the actual beauty and the actuality of it. You know what I mean? But like Matt with his family, he's always like, we can play with any gig, but it's got to be worth it. Like if it's going to be out of line of, if it's going to be extra, like more in a period of time or something. So I think it's been like this like it was an actual governor on like what we could take on, but in actuality, it was like the piece that made us settle into a patience kind of mindset that's been very like that's provided like so much abundance for us like as a band. Like it's been so organic and so abundant, like really it's crazy. So but like the patience
Not
of it all
burning
has been
yourself
really
out.
nice,
Yeah.
and respecting everybody's situation on what they have going on, and kind of working around it, but also being present.
And my family's the biggest Five Spot fans in the
Yes.
world, first of all.
They rip.
They're the biggest fans. Let me assure you that.
And shout out Jessie Deegan, Matt's wife. She's just awesome and has helped us out with some artwork, graphic stuff, and holds it down with the kids and shows up to like
She
everything.
needs the music to happen too.
She's the honest opinion
it's
too.
a family effort.
It is, everyone's part of it,
Yeah.
and it's like, I mean, the five of us playing is one thing, and then Iggy's like the sixth spot, we say, Morgan's the seventh, and there's so many others that are truly
Yeah,
there's
shout out to K-Dub and like
K-Dub,
Liz and
Liz. Yeah, there's, I mean,
so many people just
Jack Curry is actually Ben and Iggy's dad. Jack, he shows up to everything. John Curry, their other brother. I mean, there's literally probably 20 to 50 people that are actually part of it who are just more behind the
part of the
scene.
caravan.
It's a huge thing, yeah. But the balance is key, and not like it's good to not burn out too, because it's easy to take every gig possible, but then you're oversaturating yourself sometimes too. It's like a weird balance with like you want to play a lot, but then the more you play, the less rare it is to see you play, So it's like you want people to show up for your gigs, but if you play every week, people can catch the next one. And that's just with any music, any band, So it's always just spacing those out in a way that's appropriate is good too, It's not to overdo it and just kind of let it
Keep them special.
Yeah, it keeps them all special in its own way. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, guys, I appreciate you guys doing this. I know it was kind of a little bit back and forth trying to get us all scheduled together. So again, thank you so much for doing this. And best of luck and much love. And I can tell like you guys have as much fun as Justin Tucker at a wellness center.
Oh.
Too soon?
No.
I'm just glad you didn't get political.
After today, though, that was rough watching. Oh, man.
I heard
Yeah.
Tucker and I thought, oh, what's he saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, man, we appreciate you having us on here, dude. We really do.
Yeah, it was cool to get that message and just having us on, man. Yeah. Thanks for having us, dog.
Even to express how we all feel, because it's something so important to us, and we all do share it with each other so often, express how meaningful and
Yeah.
impactful it's been for each one of our lives, and we just want to keep spreading the impact, man.
Yeah. Well, yeah, go see them March 22nd in Edgewood, Maryland. Bring your own beer, bring your own liquor, bring your weed, bring your mushrooms, whatever, right? Have a
We got
good
food
time.
too.
All the above.
all the munchies. I got.
BYOB, cash at the door. Roll up with $25 cash. It's gonna be a hoedown.
Sounds like a heist.
Yeah, it's gonna be lit up.
And maybe see you guys at Ramble this year. We'll find out, right?
Fingers crossed.
Find out soon.
Fingers crossed.
Okay.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, as always, don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, our social media pages. That helps us. That helps the bands like Five Spot. Also, check out our sponsor, RAR Outfitters. That's RAWR, outfitters.com. Don't just wear RAR. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, I've been Dogg. You've been great. This is the Music Lab Podcast.